Good evening. How is everybody this evening? Welcome to this live feed. Thank you so much for being here. This evening or this morning or wherever you may be in the world is about speaking to support, speaking to showing up in a very particular way, speaking to being very open and deeply connected to each other, especially in times of distress. That's what today is about. We are speaking very openly to presenting the fullness of ourselves in love and compassion when our experiences and our circumstances are very difficult, or they are perceived to be very difficult. Thank you everybody who's coming on. Sharu, Anya, welcome. There's people that I can't see who are coming on, so please place a number 1 in the comment box and let me know that you are here. A number 1 in the comment box and perhaps an emoji to let me know how you're feeling, to represent how you're feeling. Kevin, how are you? Sharu, thank you. Yes, very interesting topic. Carolyn, welcome. But number 1 in the comment box so I'll know that you're here. And an emoji, an emoticon. I still don't know how to say that properly. I need to look that up. And let me know how you're feeling, because that will obviously determine the receptivity of self. Yelena, welcome. It's so beautiful to have you here. Thank you. So this is something that has personally, Ren, how are you? Remember, number 1 in the comment box, people, let me know that you're here. So it's important for me to be able to interact, and it's important for you as well. It's important for the tribe, for the community to interact with each other, yeah? So make your presence, your powerful presence felt. Chiru, yes, I will tell you. James, welcome. I will tell you about that. There's so much, Patrick, thank you. There's so much to say to that retreat and the immersive experience of that retreat. I'll maybe speak to a little bit at the end, yeah? And I'll integrate some of the teachings and the wisdoms into this talk as well. Spomenka, how are you? Thank you for being here. Beautiful to have you. So, supporting ourselves and supporting others in times of challenge and difficulty and pain as well. And how do we transmute that pain? How do we shift that pain? Not so much in the other, but firstly in ourselves, by connecting to it and having a deep understanding. I'm not only speaking to an intellectual understanding, but I'm speaking to an understanding that is far beyond cognizance and cognition. Not that that isn't important, but something that is more heart-based, something that is more what in Sanskrit is known as Anahata Chakra, right here. So this energy point in self that is responsible for compassion, in healthy expression, is responsible for compassion, is responsible for human connection, is responsible for endearment, is responsible for unconditional selfless love, to name a few key expressive points that this area is responsible for. So I'm alluding to something here when I'm speaking to this. I'm going to go into that in a moment. Thank you for those that are coming on. If you're new to these live feeds and you haven't been here before, please introduce yourself. Place new in the comment box so that we know that you're here. Ruth, welcome. Thank you. Andrew, welcome. Sanskrit, Zoe, Sanskrit. Nikhil, how are you, brother? Welcome. So Sanskrit is, Rebecca, welcome, is one of the oldest scriptures in the world, mainly from the Upanishads and Vedantic texts. You can look, so it's ancient Indian basically. Sanskrit, there it is. Thank you, Ren, for writing that. Welcome, Anna. So this is really important, and this is where most relationships fail, when we're unable to support each other. I believe, Zoe, on that actually, I believe that Sanskrit is the most ancient written scripture, the free-flowing written scripture. But that's controversial. I'm not completely sure if it's the most ancient written scripture. So, but definitely very old. Definitely very old. Yeah, it's there. That's it right there. Cool. Yeah. All right. So, speaking to supporting each other fully in relationships. Speaking to how do we do that in the most effective way. In my own personal experiences, it's been a deep sticking point. We come to relationship and we come to life with our own set of selves. Yeah, we come with our own predisposition beliefs. Hi Naomi. We come with our own communication methods. We come with our own being. We come with our own personality types, our own archetypes, our own characteristics, our own expressive states, our own ways of dealing with pain and adversity, our own coping strategies, emotional coping strategies. We come with our own emotional intelligence, and we bring all of that into self, and we bring all of that into relationship. And we often disconnect when another behaves in a way that we are not familiar with. And it's almost like we become stunted in our posturing. So Ruth makes a very interesting point there, upbringing. So our upbringing, or our social operant conditioning, especially as children, definitely influences the way we treat ourselves and treat others as adults, and the way we learn to communicate with others. So communication plays a big key here, plays an integral key, an integral component in how we deal with others and how we deal with adversity as well. And conditioning is part of that as well, and we'll go into that in a moment. But I'd like to know, before I continue talking, and I'll really flow into this in a moment, but perhaps in one or two words, or even a few words, what is the most important component of a relationship for you? What is the most important attribute of a relationship for you if you are going through a painful experience, or if you are going through a difficult transition? How would you wish to be supported? And also the flip side to that is, how do you feel you should support others, or you could support others? Now, whether this be an intimate relationship or a friendship or a family, that's not too relevant. But just know that our intimate relationships will trigger us deeply the most. Our intimate relationships will really bring out the best and the worst of us, or basically will bring out our extremes. And there's various reasons for that, and we can potentially go into that after, but that's a rabbit hole that I don't want to get too deep right now. But just what is it? So some beautiful, compassion, understanding, communication, empathy, kindness. So this is perfect. Okay, so there's no point in me doing the live feed. You're all doing it for us all. So this is great. But we'll unpack this a little bit. Openness, it's awesome. So how do you wish to show up for someone when they're in difficulty and challenge, for a loved one? And how would you want them to show up for you? And it may be different. So you may wish to show up for them in a particular way, but you would want them to show up for you in a different way. So there's a theme here, communication. So what is communication? What does communication mean? Because communication on its own, we're communicating right now. Hugs. I love you, Nikhil. You're going to get such a big hug tomorrow. Brother, I promise you are. So communication and space, awesome. This is fantastic. So I purposely asked that question, and I want them to keep coming. Keep them flowing. Keep them coming. Even if you're repeating it, it doesn't matter. Repetition is a key to mastery. I purposely asked this question at the beginning of this live feed, because rather than me going into solutions or going into traits or characteristics or expressive points or postures to maintain, I want us to have this really deeply open discussion about what that looks like for all of us. Diane, that's awesome. Understanding the love languages, and welcome, by the way. Listening to without giving advice, just listening. So that's a beautiful feminine quality. Yeah, that's a healthy feminine quality, when we can do that and just sit in reverence for that person and just clearly listen. But also there's an integration of the masculine there, to be vertical and to be in strong posturing for that person, for that other. So we're looking at communication, we're looking at honesty, we're looking at love languages, we're looking at trust, the 4 agreements, perfect. So, and we're looking at empathy, we're looking at inclusivity is another one as well, hugs, listening, passion, acceptance, giving people the space to be honest and not judge, unconditional love despite the warts, or despite the challenges that we are facing. So this becomes, again, deeply, deeply intriguing, because what we're speaking to are basic human constructs and basic human needs. And I can feel it. I can feel it, I can sense, I can see, I can clearly observe it in all of us right now. And this is a sticking point for so many. So communication is a foundation. So how we communicate our empathy, how we communicate our ability to listen, how we communicate how we articulate or communicate, we can use them as synonymous words. How we communicate our ability to be passionate, how we communicate our ability to, and Yelena has just said, our humility, Ren says our humility or our self-awareness. And how we communicate our posturing. So communication is a foundation. It encapsulates these expressive states or these supportive postures for those that are in our lives. So if you can understand that communication is actually almost the glue that binds all this together, and then we'll speak to what forms of communication are and what they look like. Give me a number 2, please, in the comment box. Place a number 2 in the comment box if you can resonate that communication wraps all of this up in a lovely bow, wraps it up in wrapping paper in terms of what it is that sensitivity, that listening, that acceptance, that compassion, all of that. So number 2 in the comment box if you can really deeply resonate with what that looks like, yeah? And that communication is foundation to expressing ourselves fully in life. And I know that's cool. That is a wrap. Communication does wrap all of those beautiful gestures and posturings that you've mentioned just there. Danielle, awesome. It's good to have you on board as well. I didn't know you were here. Thank you. So keep the number 2s coming if you resonate with that, people, yeah? Because it allows us to connect to the essence and the truth of all of this. So when we're looking at supporting people need to be and want to be supported in different ways. And a few comments that were mentioned earlier were around the 4 agreements. A few comments that were mentioned earlier were around the love languages. So understanding people's predispositions to the way they behave and the way they wish to be treated as well. And Tara says, when we are present, we become a present or gift for the other. Beautiful. Very lovely gesture. That was a beautiful sentiment, the way that's said. Awesome. So understanding the other person, understanding their needs and wants. And this can be really, really simplified by simply asking, by simply being attentive to what that person needs, by being attentive to their coping strategies with life, by being attentive to where they are triggered, what fears trigger them. So it's showing a genuine, and this is something that that wasn't mentioned earlier, and that's okay, is showing a very genuine, sincere interest in our loved ones, in their cognitive dispositions, in their psyche, in their spirituality, in their interests, in their values, in what is important to them, in being very attentive to their mannerisms in life. So we're coming from a place here of deep service. We're coming from a place of compassion, which was, of course, mentioned earlier. We're coming from a place of endearment and love and selfless giving. And in that posturing, in that place, we learn to support our partners. We learn to support our loved ones. We learn to support humanity with grace and humility and graciousness because we sincerely want to. We actually care. Diane says, but sometimes they don't even know what bothers them or what is upsetting them. Diane, that's absolutely true. There's a few really interesting comments here. So Yelena says, I believe in acceptance and compassion more than understanding. Completely. And when we're talking about understanding, we're talking about a multi-layered understanding. We're talking about definitely a cognitive and intellectual understanding, but we're talking an understanding from the heart, a very visceral understanding, an understanding that connects to the feeling state of another, to the body of another. So Daniela says, what if they don't know what's important to them? So that's fantastic. And that statement's been mentioned twice. And I really want to delve deep into that because the next component to this is knowing self. And when I'm speaking to knowing, again, I'm speaking to a multi-layered tiered knowing. I'm not only referring to an intellectual knowing, I'm referring to a knowing that encompasses the fullness of who we are. Every area of life, the 4 bodies, the physical, the psychological, the emotional, the spiritual. It's knowing self in as much capacity as possible. So it really does involve us being on an enlightened journey of self-growth and mastery of self, mastery of every area of life. Now, can you imagine for a moment if you set on a journey with a very specific intention to be this grand version of self, to master as much as self as possible, to connect to the fullness of who you are, to continue to learn about yourself, to be very observant of when you are not feeling quite in alignment or in balance, or when you are disconnected from self, or identifying a fear or a number of fears, or connecting to your belief systems and understanding your belief systems, knowing that this belief system impacts this area of my life and that belief system impacts that area of my life. So we're bringing all of this back to the self. Before we even move into relationship with others, we're coming back to self. And that's where I wanted to take this. But I wanted to start with others because it's so familiar to be in relationship with others, yet it's so unfamiliar to be in relationship with self. So give me a number 3 in the comment box if you can understand that knowing self is so deeply integral to our own health, to our own multi-layered health, but also in order to know self more, we can be of greater service to others, yeah? Number 3 in the comment box. And no, the video hasn't paused. I'm being silent on purpose. I hope it's an awkward silence. There's a reason why. Knowing self, 3 is a very powerful number. So is 1 and 8. Knowing self, awesome. A lot of number 3s. Perfect. No, why are you laughing, Zoe? Knowing self is so integral to the health of our relationship. Shuru just put 3 for the... Okay, so Shuru, 3 was if you resonate and are in accordance with the importance of knowing self in order to be of service to self and in order to be of service to humanity and to your loved ones, pop a number 3 in the comment box. So what is deeply, deeply empowering here is that the more we know ourselves, the more we can communicate our truth to others. And we can tell people very clearly, this is the person that I am. This is the person that I wish to be. This is how I cope in awkward situations, or this is how I deal with difficulty and challenge. And these are the fears that are coming up in my life at the moment. And when we can do that, and we can do that from a place of authentic love and sincere connection to self, we grow. But we allow others to grow with us. Gaz, welcome, brother. How are you? We allow others to be a part of our lives in such a way that is real and meaningful. It's connected. Because we no longer need to hide ourselves. We can be ourselves. Being able to communicate myself to others has changed my life. All my relationships are 10. You know why, Yelena? I'm going to make an observation here, and it's a biased observation because obviously I deeply admire your being and who you are in this world and how you bring yourself to this world. But what has done that is your ability to go deep, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't mean to be assumptuous, but your ability to go deep into self, your ability to communicate your authentic nature without being fearful of what an outcome may be. And when we do that, we're coming from a place of power. We're coming from a place of healthy, authentic power, which is what the ancient Eastern traditions would call the Manipura chakra, yeah? So what's known as solar plexus. But there's a healthy power expression that stands in our truth in that space. And it's obviously deeply connected to the heart chakra, the Anahata chakra, but also deeply connected to even higher levels of consciousness within self. Not to go too deep into that right now, but really understanding self in a multi-layered way allows us to express ourselves with greater efficacy and clarity. Yeah, and it's not an easy path to tread. It's quite challenging. And why most relationships fail is not because of the communication. That's actually secondary. It's because people come together and they don't know themselves. So they don't know, and we expect the other to know what we are thinking and feeling and who we actually are when we don't know ourselves. Pop a number 4 in the comment box if you can resonate with that, if you've had a personal experience of that yourself. If you've had personal experiences yourself where you have gone into a relationship perhaps in your youth, where you've gone into a relationship and you have had an unconscious expectation or an unconscious bias with respect to how you want someone to treat you, yet you don't know yourself at depth. you haven't taken the effort to go deep and deep into self. I've been that person. I have lost, not lost, it's not the right word. Contextually it is, but my actions or my posturing have destroyed relationships that didn't need to go in a particular direction because of the lack of connection I had to myself, and I couldn't understand why someone couldn't understand me. It's because I couldn't understand myself. And I didn't go deep enough at that time, and it wasn't through the experience of pain and separation, hardship and challenge and perceived adversity and all of that I was able to become, first of all, move through deep despair, but then become bathed in humility and become very humble with my own circumstances that allowed me to go deeper into self and not disconnect from self. And so we do that, Diane, you're right. We self-sabotage by default when we are so unconscious with self. We self-sabotage by default when we are not connected to self. When we don't make an effort to know self. Like we make an effort to build our bodies, yeah? We make an effort to create wealth in our lives. We make an effort to engage in social activities. Yet, do we make an effort to know the intricacies of who we are? Do we make an effort to shine light on the darkest places within ourselves? Like, feel into that. Thank you, Patrick. Like, do we make a very sincere effort to go deep? Now, I know most of us on this live feed are quite aware of self, and that's a beautiful thing. Like attracts like, and we're all on a journey. We're all learning and growing together. We're not perfect, and it's not about that. But do we make an effort? Do we set our day with a very specific intention to shine light on what is most dark in our lives? On what needs and requires our articulate attention? And let's be honest with that. Do we do that? Do we value ourselves enough? Are we familiar with our values, with what is most important to us, with our hierarchy of values? Are we familiar enough with ourselves to go deep and then express that to others? Diane, you're right. It is hard. It's hard and it can really hurt. But let me tell you what hurts more, and I'm going to really speak from personal experience here. What hurts more is being unfaithful to self. What hurts more is being untruthful with self. What hurts more is continuing to ignore and avoid, suppress and oppress every aspect of self that is so integral to building a coherent, endearing, loving relationship with self and with others. That's what hurts more, Diane. I promise you that's what hurts more. And if you can resonate with that, people, give me number 5. Did I skip a number? Doesn't matter. Give me a number 5. Or a boom will do. Thank you, Anya. That's something that's deeply important to me. Is that when we're not honest with ourselves and we choose to shy away from our truth because we're scared and it's painful, and I get it. I know what fear, you know what fear is. I know what fear is. Psychological, emotional, spiritual, relational fear, physical fear it's fucking daunting, to say the least. But if we don't go deep into self because of fear, if we live from fear, we restrict ourselves so immensely. We restrict our hearts, we restrict our souls, we restrict our ability to be conscious. And as men, as I did, I swore, I think. As men, when we don't come from a higher level of consciousness, we don't come from our heart, we lose our posturing, we lose our verticality, we lose our authentic power in particular. And we continue to come from fear. And we don't come from a place of courage. We don't come from a place of congruency. And we lose ourselves in the process. We become fragmented. It's what happened to me. And I speak from direct experience, and not my experiences aren't everybody else's experiences. But we're human beings and we share a very similar psyche. We share a very similar aptitude for life. Carl Jung calls it the collective unconscious. To smile at our fear, become friends with it, dissipates it, dissolves it. Tara, beautiful. When we make the unconscious conscious, it becomes malleable. And we can work with it, we can move with it, we can move through it, we can understand it, we can connect to it, we can accept it, we can resonate with it. We can actually leverage it to assist us in our own growth and our own transformation. And we become deeply empowered in that place. And that's beautiful, Danielle. We're both unique and we're both the same. Yelena says, to commit to self means we have to be okay with being alone, and it can only be lonely. But once we have no choice, especially if committed to service by example. And that's a matter of integrity. But integrity can only come and can only appear within our lives when we are authentic with self, when we know ourselves, when we know ourselves deep enough to know what it means to be in integrity. I was out of integrity for so long because I didn't know myself. I didn't make a conscious effort to know self. Not enough of an effort. So I kept running away. I kept hiding. I kept pushing away my core values and what I really was, and I played a facade. And you lose yourself and you become fragmented. And the more fragmented you become, the more you lose yourself. The more you lose yourself, the more fragmented you become, and you're moving away from a state of wholeness. And in wholeness, there's equilibrium, there's homeostasis. Homeostasis is one of the most natural postures to assume in nature, for humans, for flora, for fauna, all of that. Our system right now is in homeostasis, constantly regulating in balance and equilibrium to ensure that we are thriving, not just surviving. Surviving and thriving. If you can understand that, if you can resonate with that, please put a number 6 in the comment box. And what I'm asking you to resonate with here, if you do resonate with this, is that to have integrity in our posturing, to express integrity in our being, we must move to know ourselves. That means all aspects of self, all the stuff that we don't like, the shadow stuff, the fears, the pain points, the challenges, the expressions of self that we may not resonate with, like selfishness or jealousy. Can we resonate with that? And no one likes that. No one wants to say, yeah, I'm a selfish person. I have selfish tendencies. No one wants to say, I have aggression. I can be an aggressive person. That's daunting for people to own that. I used to be quite an aggressive person, and I know why. I mean, it was rampant in my upbringing. I'm not blaming my upbringing because I have choices as an adult, but as an adult, I was very angry. I'm still an adult, but as a young adult, I was very angry, very aggressive, very frustrated so quickly. And without looking and observing that at depth and having to face some fairly confronting truths about self, it will never shift. And you'll always ask, why am I not in this place of homeostasis? Why am I in an uncomfortable position? It's because we're choosing not to look at our stuff. So when we come back to supporting each other, when we come back to loving each other, when we come back to being of service to each other, to ourselves and to others, the way we do that is by knowing self. That's it. That's the trick. That's the key. Everything that was mentioned at the start with respect to those characteristics are beautiful. And it's exactly what is needed. But what precedes that is our ability to connect to self and to love self. See, the more you love self, the more you can connect to self. The more you accept self, the more you can go deeper into self. And you accept those faults, or you accept those shadow elements of self, or those areas of life that really bother you. And beautiful Ren says that feeling of not desiring anything external to ourself when we are in deeply connected state is liberating and encouraging in growth. Wow. Can everybody give me number 7 if they agree with that, please? Number 7 in the comment box, if you can just agree with what I recited from what the Ms. Ren Briggs wrote there. That's beautiful. That's really powerful, Ren. Really powerful. I almost want to say I've heard that before, Ren, from you probably. I'm going to read that again. That feeling of not desiring anything external to ourselves when we are in a deeply connected state is liberating and encouraging in growth. For our own growth and for the growth of others. That's a powerful number 7, people. So powerful. So deeply connected. So powerful. Now, I want to speak a little bit to actually supporting, Ren, that was beautiful, really supporting each other and ourselves in that time of despair and difficulty. And I do want to speak from personal experiences here. And I'm going to, Ren, you just gave yourself a number 7, check. I'm going to speak to men and women a little bit, yeah? Because the reality is, from a biochemical, neurochemical, neurological, biological perspective, and even psychological, psychocultural perspective, we do view the world a little bit differently, and that's the truth of it. And that's hormonally we do as well. And our hormones, of course, influence our psychology and our emotionality and our models of reality and our beliefs and so forth. And it's an integrated process, yeah. And this isn't good or bad; it just is. And I want to speak particularly to how Danielle, you want me to expand on what Ren said? Give me a moment. Let me go back and read it, and I'll do that, and I'll come back to what I just said. So the feeling of not desiring anything external to ourselves when we are in deeply connected state and is liberating, encouraging, and growth. So the way I interpret that, Danielle, and for everybody out there, is that basically and please correct me if I'm wrong, Ren, you can put a yes or a no when I finish this short explanation, is basically being content with who we are, in finding satisfaction in life within ourselves. We're not giving our power to others. We're not placing our center outside of ourselves, but rather our center is within. Our center is within here and within down here and within here. So we align ourselves knowing that we are enough within ourselves, that everything we need in life is within us. We trust ourselves, we love ourselves, we connect to selves, we are compassionate to self, we are with self. And then it is a conscious choice to be with another person or to be in the presence of a friend or a family member or a loved one, but our center is within us. Everything we need is within us, and we make a choice to enhance ourselves because we view the potentiality that someone else can actually enhance our being, can add value to our lives, and we can add value to their lives. And that is growth, that is spiritual expansion, yeah? So if I'm correct there, Ren, just let me know that I'm correct. Hey, Dan, how are you, brother? Welcome. Yes, Danielle, that's right. But in part, not being a people pleaser. But that's layered as well. So there's reasons why we would not be a people pleaser, because we are centered in our own self, yeah? So Ren, if you can, if that's what you... It's not just self-acceptance, it's self-love, and self-acceptance is part of it, but also being so content and so deeply appreciative of self, being in deep gratitude for self, and recognize that we are the source of our own power, and we don't give away our power. Yeah. So Ren, if that's correct, just let me know. So speaking to men and women in particular, yeah, and how a man and masculine presence can hold a woman through her pain and through her challenge. And then also I will speak to how a woman can hold men through their pain and their challenge as well, yeah? So with men, it's important, men out there, this is speaking very directly from personal experience, of course, as well, and also the beautiful people that I work with, is being very present, being vertical for your woman, being very connected to self and very purposeful in who you are and how you present yourself. And when your woman is going through pain and challenge and suffering and uncertainty, it's for you to polarize that and be certain, be strong, be resilient, be comforting in your posturing by having an ever-knowing presence within you. And it can be difficult to do when you're watching your loved one in pain and when they are being deeply challenged. It's not so much coming to the foreground with solutions. It's not about presenting, this is how I can do this is how this can be, and if we move through, yeah, Tara, perfect, yin to the yang, yeah. So we're polarizing the expression of the other in order to balance and create a homeostasis, yeah, and an equilibration within that dynamic. So for men, it's so important to be strong in our posturing, to be gentle and kind, to be compassionate and to be listening, to be open to what is being presented in that present moment. And if you can really resonate with that, men and women, please put number 8 in the comment box. This is a very important, I've spoken to this before in various other live feeds. It's so important for men to be supportive in this way. You're never bad, Anya. It's not about being bad. You're just disconnected from self and probably stressed from all the cultural clutter that occurs in our world. Yeah, I'm not making excuses for your behavior, of course, but don't be too hard on yourself. Learn. But if we're not too hard on ourselves, we remain in an open state and we can learn and grow with greater efficacy. So, presence in men is so important. Presence in our posturing, certainty, an unwavering nature, an unwavering self, a connected consciousness. Diane, very few men do have this quality, and there's multiple reasons for that. It's a compounded historical reason, and reasons that underlay that as well. But yeah, I'm feeling what you're saying. And it's part of my mission is to assist men in cultivating that deeply and authentically and coming from a healthy masculine place and being unwavered in that posture. And I'll repeat that, being certain in self. And that provides certainty to others. It provides deep certainty to those beautiful women in our lives as well. And it allows them to move through their stuff and through their fears with a greater clarity because they know they are being supported in that way. And for women, how do we support our men? I just said that as if I'm a woman. Didn't make sense. So women, how do you support us as men? Give us an amen, ladies. Healthy masculine is so damn sexy. Give us an amen. Yes, give us an amen, ladies. It is. It's an endearing quality and it's an evolving quality. It promotes growth within us. That's what it does. So, you like the way I said that, Anya. So, what can the feminine do for the masculine to be supportive when the masculine is going through fear? Because we're not perfect beings. We can't be in verticality all the time. We can't be in this deep understanding all the time, in this deep presence. There are times when we will become wavered, and it's in those times, it's how we deal with that instability. Okay, it's how we deal with that instability that allows us to grow and transfer our strengths or our weaknesses into strengths. So Dan says, yeah, so verticality is just posturing, Tara, that's all. So verticality is so from a physiological perspective, it's having strength in this posture. From a psycho-emotional perspective, it's having strength and structure in our expression, being unwavered in who we are, being very clear, having clarity, having directness, having discernment in life. Yeah, that helps with us being vertical. Yeah, I hope that makes a little bit of sense. But this is a really important question. How do you do that without being weak or being considered feminine? And what you're referring to, Dan, standing tall from a physiological perspective, from a power posturing perspective. So what's posturing? Okay, so posturing in the physicality is how we move our body. Posturing in our psychosocial self or in our emotionality is how we present to life, how we act, how we express ourselves. Yeah, that's what posturing is. Simple. Cool. So as men, how do we show our vulnerabilities? Here's the thing that needs to be flipped on its head, Dan, and for all men out there and for ladies as well. Vulnerability is power. It requires a lot more courage, a great deal more courage, to be open and vulnerable about how we feel if we feel that we cannot be this person, if we feel that we cannot achieve this, or if we feel we are substandard, or if we feel that we are losing, or if we feel that we are in pain, or if we feel that we need to express a fear. It is far more challenging and difficult to actually do that and be vulnerable than it is to hide and suppress it. To hide and suppress our emotions is easy. It's easy to forget. The brain does it exceptionally well. The psyche does it exceptionally well. The ego self hides exceptionally well. There is tremendous power in bringing light to the darkness. Darkness isn't bad. It's not about bad and good. It's about making the unconscious conscious. And as men in our society, there's a stigma around being vulnerable and being honest and being open. And that's why as a man, I wish to break that stigma. Like, those of you that have watched my live feeds many times have seen, like, I've cried on these live feeds multiple times, and I don't care. If that's how I'm feeling, that's what I wish to express, because that's my truth. There is more power in expressing truth that's contextual and relevant, of course, to that circumstance than there is in hiding yourself. It's easy to hide yourself and it's easy to conform. So the reality is we have to break we have to break many different social norms that are permeating our society and our culture. So I'm just having a look at some of these questions. Why would a self-aware, conscious, spiritual and self-fulfilled person go in a relationship unless they want to undo the journey of growth that brought them to this stage? I'm not sure I'm understanding that, but I agree with Anya. You can definitely engage in a conscious relationship that propels growth deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's so important. So Danielle says, allowing a man to be vulnerable in a safe space of letting them know you won't make them weak. I tell them it's a strength, not a weakness, to be emotional and honest. And absolutely, we want to not emasculate men. Women, we do not want to demean men. We do not want to take away their authentic power. We do not want to criticize them. See, supporting a man when he is vulnerable is being present for them as well, but nurturing them. Women, you have such a beautiful gift that men, we have a capacity to nurture, but just in a different way. We nurture differently. But women have this beautiful capacity to nurture. You give birth. Men can't do that. There's so much authentic, beautiful power in that. Like that brings me to tears thinking about that, feeling into that you are life-giving, beautiful creatures. There is so much power in that for men. We can learn so much from that posturing, from that expression. Give me a number 9 if you can resonate with that, people. Beautiful people out there. Give me number 9. Men especially. Acknowledging that and taking ownership of that and recognizing how powerful our women are is so important for our own growth as well. And breaking that stigma, breaking those associations of what it means to be a man. In Australian culture, what it means to be a man is to go to the pub or the bar and drink as much beer as possible with your mates. And I'm obviously being a little bit facetious here, but it's about unhealthy competition. That's what being a man is about in Western culture in particular. It is so important that we begin to break these stigmas. It's sad, but it's a place that we can move from now because we have an awareness around it. When a man is emotionally strong, it's beautifully attractive. Beautifully attractive. And when a woman allows her man to support her through her emotional despair in a way that is masculine, that is beautiful as well. And when a man allows a woman to support him through his despair in her own way, to nurture him in her own way, that's incredible. Annette, that's beautiful what you said, by the way. That you're able to manifest, carry, and birth life. Oh, wow. Can we get a number 10 for Annette, please? Number 10 for Annette, if you can resonate with that. You see, people, relationships needn't be that difficult. It's divine, Annette, what you said. It's profound and divine. Number 10 for Annette. Number 10 for that wisdom emanated from her. Annette just 10 herself. That's awesome. We can only celebrate life when we respect ourselves, when we love ourselves, when we connect to ourselves, when we... You know, Danielle, I haven't experienced that either, and I never will be able to experience that. But men create in different ways. goddess. You are a goddess. Every person on this feed, every woman on this feed is a divine goddess, and every man on this feed is a divine man. We all have that potential, and it's time for us to actualize that potential. And we can only do that through being open here, open here, open here, open here. And by connecting to self fully and empowering self and loving self and being present with self and knowing self and wanting the best for your partner, for your loved ones, wanting the best for those that are in our lives, that's power. That is what allows us to support our partners in relationship, to support our loved ones in relationship, to support their journey of pain, to be there for the long term. Joanna says, how do we solve the problem with the imbalance? How can we help more men come into the presence? Exactly what we're doing right now. Thank you, Danielle. We're speaking openly to it, Joanna. It's a great question. By making it aware, by bringing these unconscious patterns into consciousness, by demanding what is it that we really want, demanding in a beautiful way though, in an endearing way, by coming from a place of authentic power and saying, this won't do anymore, this way of relating doesn't work anymore. Why can't I be a strong man and lift heavy stuff and use my mind and feel my feelings and express them to those that I love when I need to? How does that make me less of a man? And as a woman, why can't a woman be beautifully present and beautifully active and connect the way men do as well? And we share that healthy, expressive state, yeah? We can do things differently, and it begins with self. It begins with owning all of that. So Sharu says, for some people, sharing their problems is an issue. How do they gather the courage to actually uncondition themselves even when it requires breaking social norms and structures? How can we encourage others to do the same? Shifting consciousness means shifting the norm and the common expectation. The change starts from within every man and woman. Give them your trust by that and the space to be vulnerable, never belittle them. So Charu, to answer your question, which is a really powerful question, we begin right here, right now. You are choosing to surround yourself with people in this live feed that are of a similar mindset, that are like-minded souls. And with that comes a great power. Yeah, that's how we start. That's the strength in numbers. Be supported in your new ideas of being differently. What I'm saying is the audience is not in balance, so do women need to set the boundaries? Are you referring to this audience, Joanna? Are you saying there's more women than men on the live feed? I'm not sure what if you could elaborate on that, that would be cool. So I hope I've addressed that in some sense though. So Yanni Harry, brother, welcome. So really, when we're going through dissonance and disconnection in our own lives, we have to, in these circles and many other self-development programs, okay, Joanne, awesome, I understand what you're saying now. Cool. That's changing. So, okay, all audiences, got it. Okay, very clear, Joanna. Thank you for elaborating on that. Appreciate that. So, yes, clear on that. But, so what we pay attention to in life, we bring into our lives, yeah? So what we choose to be conscious of, we notice more. And it's called the Bader-Meinhof effect as well, in psychological terms. You can look that up if you like, Bader-Meinhof effect. But beyond that, okay, what's happening is, because of the circles that I move in and choose to move in, the type of person I choose to be, and I've had to go very deep into self and break so many different social norms within myself, so many different rigid belief systems. I've had to deconstruct myself fully, and I've had to move through tremendous fear and pain to do so. That's been a personal choice. Not everybody makes that choice. I am who I am today because of those choices, but also I am who I am today because of really shit choices I made as a younger person. But that change, that transformation comes from within. Now, what I'm noticing in the circles that I'm moving through is that there are more men rising to this. There is a great, Danielle's mentioned it as well, there's definitely a stronger masculine presence arising. And these circles are increasing. And we've got some catching up to do in this sense. And this is a very complex issue, and it's an integrated issue, and it's difficult to go into now. I've been going for, 50 minutes nearly. That's the longest live feed I've done thus far. So I'm going to wrap that up. I'm sure you're tired of listening to my voice. So, but Joanna, that is definitely changing. It is definitely transmuting, and it happens here. So share this video. Share this. If you believe in this live feed, share it. Share it with your male friends. Show them that there is a man that speaks to these issues. And there are many. I'm not just the only one. There are so many of us, beautiful men out there, and beautiful women that are doing this as well, and beautiful women that are supporting men in that journey. Oh, thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Danielle. You know I'm emotional. Start crying now. So it's important. Share it. Share the video. Demonstrate there's this guy talking to these emotional, spiritual issues, and he doesn't look like someone that would, but he is. Or I don't know if he does or he doesn't. But if I do, if I don't, speaking to myself in the third person. But that's where it starts. And it starts with noticing that and surrounding yourself with people that are in alignment with that truth. Men as well. Speak your truth. Speak it loudly. The first step on the journey of self-discovery and breaking fear cycles is always the most challenging. So when we surround ourselves with people that we love and that support us and that care for us and that understand us and connect to us, guess what happens? We are encouraged to be more truthful and authentic in self. We are encouraged to express ourselves. We are supported. The whole purpose of this feed is support. We are supported in our journey. Cherie wants to know the break. I'll briefly go into it, but because it's very and again, so that's a really good question, Cherie. At this time, the timing of that is perfect for Joanna. So Joanna, I just recently came from a Vira men's Tantric Retreat, men's only Tantric Retreat in Thailand. It was an intensive immersion, 8-day immersion. Beautiful men learning how to be authentic, powerful, postured men, how to be vertical in their posturing, how to treat women, how to treat self, how to be masculine in a healthy way, how to move through the world in a way that does not demoralize others, but brings and raises up others and raises self. That's some of what I learned, true. Not so much learned, but reinforced in a different way. The information was beautiful. It was ancient wisdom brought into today's, so remaining quite traditional to the lineage of Tantra. And it's when people think Tantra, they think, when most people think Tantra, they think, it's all about sex and it's about orgies and multiple partners and all of this, and it's more than just that. It's a philosophy. Not that it is that, but it's an ethos. It's a way of life. And I'm interested in the esoteric principles that Tantra bring to earth. You see, to sum up, there's ascetic practices such as Christianity and Buddhism that deny the body and say that the body is not really a vehicle for growth, and our spirituality comes when we make the body light. So we starve the body, we rest the body, we silence the mind, we silence the mouth, and we remove ourselves from society. And that's a very ascetic practice, a very depriving practice. Whereas Tantra says, if Earth and the physicality in this 3D realm and humanity wasn't of any value, if it wasn't Shiva, if it wasn't oneness, it wouldn't be here. So let's use the physicality to transcend or ascend and evolve and grow ourselves. And it's challenging, it's really difficult. Relationships are difficult. Relationship to self and relationship to others are very difficult. Here's a little bit of what I learned. I learned a lot. It was very, very deep. Very, very deep course. So I'll continue my path and my journey in taming the unhealthy masculine and expressing the healthy masculine, which I've been on that journey for a few years now. And that integration of mind, body, spirit is exactly what Tantra is about, what Tantric principles are about. Yeah? Oh, wonderful, Joanna. Thank you. So I'm going to say a good evening or a good morning or a good day or wherever you are in the world. I'm going to love you so much. And I'm going to say thank you so much for being here and being so present for nearly an hour. Wow. I'm very humbled. I'm deeply humbled. And I hope that you got something from this. What's the book title, Joanna? I'm writing a book at the moment. I'm writing a few things at the moment. When does it stop? Never, because I love being of service. Yeah, and this is how I am of service, and we're all of service in different ways. So please share this video if it resonates with you. Share it far, share it wide, share it everywhere. And I, of course, would be very grateful for that sharing. Of course, it's important to realize that who we are is a product of not only the people that we surround ourselves with, but the totality of our environment, our ideologies, our belief systems, everything. So sharing is caring. So share this video if you resonate. Share this video if there's something of value to you and if you think someone may need it. And check out the link as well below. It may be of service to you. Many blessings on your journey. I'm so excited to see you again on Sunday evening. I'll be back on Sunday evening, and Sunday evening 8 hours plus GMT, Perth time or Hong Kong time, Hong Kong, Singapore time. And of course, many blessings on your journey again. And I wish you love and support in everything that you do. And thank you for being present here. And so much gratitude. And of course, namaste. Thank you.